A very good morning to our viewers and listeners. We are coming to you live from the Garmin Information Center studios in Windhoek. Welcome to today's information sharing session with me, Grace Cavey. As per norm, be part of this informative discussion by tuning in live on our social media pages, Facebook at Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, YouTube at MICT Namibia. Today we are focusing on access to justice and protection of vulnerable groups in Namibia. This discussion is stemming from the Human Rights Day, which will be commemorated tomorrow, the 10th of December 2025, in the Zambezi region, Katima Mulilo, with my studio guest, Mr. Hendrik Mauyuma, the Chief Legal Officer at the Office of the Ombudsman. Mr. Mauyuma, good morning and welcome to the Garmin Information Center studios.
Good morning, Grace. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me here this morning.
It's our pleasure. Okay. To start our discussion, Mr. Mauyuma, what are human rights?
Grace, it's a very good question. Just to take you back, tomorrow, the 10th of December, 2025, we will commemorate the Human Rights Day in Namibia. Now, then back this day, on the 10th of December 1948, it was the day when the UN proclaimed that each and every person who are born with human rights, which means that human rights is rights that every person have when the person is born, regardless of your origin, regardless of your belief, regardless of your gender. Just to give you a background from where it stems from.
Okay. Okay, the topic speaks about protection of vulnerable groups in Namibia. Who are these groups?
Grace, vulnerable groups, just to mention a few. We talk about persons in detention. Detention, which means that those in correctional facilities,
Right.
inmates that are convicted, those in police holding cells who are trial awaiting. Then we have persons with disabilities. We have children. We have women. We have elderly persons. So those are that we categorize as vulnerable groups in the context of Namibia.
Okay.
Just to understand.
Okay, great. What does access to justice mean in the Namibian context, and why is it fundamental to achieving the broader human rights agenda?
Yeah, very good question, Grace. Grace, access to justice means that, as I said, everyone have a human right, regardless of your gender. Now, what we mean of access to justice is you must get fair treatment. Fair treatment goes hand in hand with there must be remedies available if your rights have been violated, and the protection of your rights without any discrimination. So, and then why is human rights so fundamental? Because you have right to dignity. It can't be taken away from the right to life, because it goes hand in hand. So all rights must be realized. Yes.
With that explanation, what are the key human rights concerns affecting vulnerable groups in Namibia today, and how do these concerns manifest in our daily lives? Please give us practical examples.
Grace, it's a very good question. As a person that comes from a human rights institution that safeguard human rights, first of all, there's always an outcry from our citizens on access to public service delivery. And obvious reasons, discriminatory practices. Why, just to start off, why I said lack of public service delivery. For instance, you can go to a police station. There will be instances that our citizens will be refused to open cases. That we expect from the police to assess our citizens because they have the right to open criminal cases.
Yes.
Discriminatory practices. For instance, you see to have persons, there are allegations that if you take, for instance, government adverts, job adverts, one of the requirements said that you must have a driver's license.
Correct.
Now, a person with a disability, where do you draw the line? Is the person excluded? So from their part, they feel excluded. You have inadequate living conditions. You have, for instance, the San communities always have an outcry about land distributions because you must have land for your identity to be recognized. You have a lack of knowledge. Citizens in urban areas, they have knowledge about their rights. Citizens in remote areas, it's very tough for them to realize their human rights. Just to mention a few.
Okay, with those violations that you have mentioned, how does Ombudsman contribute to addressing human rights violations and promoting accountability in the public sector?
That's a good question, Grace. Grace, as a human rights office, Ombudsman, by virtue of his mandate and role, is provided for in the Constitution and the Ombudsman's Act. The Ombudsman receives and investigates complaints about violations of human rights. So, the Ombudsman, because the government as the state, signed or ratified treaties, conventions, which place a duty on our government to comply with those obligations. So therefore, the Ombudsman, as an office, must monitor the state, whether the state comply with our human rights standards that was placed on our state. And even consult the government to ensure accountability, systemic reforms, and to also to see that the government comply with its obligations. Yes, in short.
Okay.
Yeah.
You first gave us a practical example of somebody being refused to open a case at the police station. Okay, how do me as a citizen reach Ombudsman if that has happened to me, and where does it come in?
Grace, we call it, there are access to complaint mechanism. Now, one of the institutions that you can have access to complaints is the Office of the Ombudsman. So our office is there to be the voice for the voiceless. So, not to be specific, we always get this type of cases that our citizens are refused by the police for one other reason.
Yes.
To open a criminal case. So our intervention always is fruitful, and then eventually our citizens are assisted with those type of refusal of lack of service delivery. Yeah.
Okay, talk to us about systemic challenges that hinder vulnerable groups from fully realizing their rights.
Yeah. Grace, here we talk about delays in administrative justice. Now, in terms of Article 18 of the Namibian Constitution, it is expected from state officials to act fairly and reasonably. But I want to say always, sometimes it's not the case. So there is delays in administrative justice. For instance, you apply for citizenship or permanent residence permit to Home Affairs. For obvious reasons, there is delays to receive a response on your application for citizenship of for permanent residence permits, for instance. So, as the Office of the Ombudsman, we are the mechanism where the citizens come and complain, and then we follow up on their behalf for the delay. What is the delay that is caused for a response for this particular citizen? Then you have the offices, as I said in the beginning, lack of knowledge. So you must go out, like us did as an office, go out and educate our citizens about their rights. Yes, to claim their rights. As I said, obvious discrimination, it's happening. That doesn't matter in whatever form. You also have, as they said, resource constraints. Now, we normally visit, in the past we visited across the country, Namibian police holding cells where there was overcrowding. As the Office of the Ombudsman, we brought it under the attention of the principal or the leading ministry. So even to the extent that, as I said, vulnerable groups are in those detention facilities. And we expect non-degrading situations or circumstances in those holding cells. Even the courts are saying the state cannot say that there is a lack of resources. It must not be a factor. So the High Court of Namibia said that the state must get resources available for our citizens to be treated human and in a manner that is hygienic and fair. So that's one of those things that we realize in our holding cells. And then also one of the is you have poor coordination between ministries or offices. Sometimes the left hand don't know what the right hand is doing. Like we have the Ministry of Gender, the Ministry of Education. The same program, the same projects are doing by either education or by gender. So we always encourage no duplication of projects, but to coordinate projects. And then the inaccessible mechanism to complain about. We have the Directorate of Legal Aid. We must make our citizens aware that there is a Directorate of Legal Aid where they can go and apply if they want a redress, especially for poor people who can't afford legal representation. We have a Legal Assistance Center who also assess where there is violations of group of public interest, for instance. Just to mention a few.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mayoma, to realize these rights of the vulnerable groups, what should government institutions, civil society, and the public play in protecting the rights of these vulnerable persons in Namibia?
Grace, we must be honest. Our government, we must applaud our government for the efforts that our government are doing with the little resources that we have to our availability. So we have policies in place. We have legal frameworks in place. But the only shortcoming that we have is always the implementation of our legal frameworks, our policies, which I said that the effectiveness of our service deliveries. And as a civil society, we always encourage the civil society to support our vulnerable people in the sense of do advocacy, outreach programs within your own communities for them to understand their rights and to claim their rights. And even the public must, if they realize there are some violations within that community, to report it, and then to demand accountability from our OMAS, officers, ministries, and agencies.
Okay. If you just joined in, we are discussing the access to justice and protection of vulnerable groups in Namibia with my studio guest, Mr. Hendrik Mauyama from the Office of the Ombudsman. Mr. Mauyama, how can information sharing, awareness raising, and public engagement improve the protection of promotion of human rights in Namibia? I think you just touched a bit on that.
Yeah.
Please expand it more.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Grace, if information sharing is so important in our daily life, there, if you bring the message to our citizens, then they start to access services.
Yes.
They start to understand their rights, to have knowledge of their rights, and start to claim their rights from whatever institution. And they also make use of our complaint mechanisms. As I said, the Ombudsman's Office. And just to also do, in addition, we have the Ombudsman's Office, and within the Ombudsman Office, in respect of issues that where the children's rights are violated, we have the Office of the Children's Advocate, for instance, where our citizens can go, even a child, him or herself, can lay a complaint directly. And because of this information sharing, we can see that the violations can be reduced. Traditionally can be reduced. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Mauyama, as Ombudsman, do you collaborate with government institutions or civil organizations to sensitize the public on their rights and where they should report in case of violations and in different regions?
Yeah. Grace, as an office, what we have done and still continue doing, we started 2023 with, we call it human rights engagement, where we trained our various communities in the various regions. It's an annual project that we started with in 2023.
Okay.
The participants that we invite, as I said, obviously the youth involved, persons with disabilities, law enforcement officials, government representatives, traditional authorities, civil societies. And now this project, it's in conjunction with CAS. CAS is Conrad Adenauer Stiftung, Mr. Donor. We started off in Osona region 2023. Last year, we have one human rights engagement in Zambezi region. This year, we have the same project in Kavango East region. Now, the human rights aspect that we cover there is access to justice, children's protection of children's rights, human trafficking, gender-based violence, where we give out or train our community members on the legal understanding of access to justice and so forth, where we invite, for instance, Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Gender for gender-based violence, invite Ministry of Health for medical aspects, Office of the Judiciary in terms of criminal justice systems, Ombudsman on human rights violations, Master of the High Court on estates and wills matters, Legal Aid Office on legal aid matters, and so forth. And then Ministry of Agriculture, Land, on land issues, where we educate the public. Next year, we identified Karas region, where we will do the same human rights education project.
Mr. Mauyoma, as we are nearing the end of our conversation, would you say these initiatives that you have taken with collaboration with other government institutions improved human rights violations in Namibia?
The feedback that we receive from the participants is successful and fruitful, and I would say really it's a good initiative from the Office of the Ombudsman. That's why we said it must continue until we cover all the regions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what actionable steps can be taken to ensure that no one is left behind in accessing justice and essential services?
Yeah, Grace, is a good question. Obvious, as I said, continuous human rights training, either from which side, it's very important. Training of officers, it's very important. I will give you an example. We trained with the invitation of the Correctional Service, the Namibian Police, and the Namibian Defence Force. We trained Defence Force officers, Namibian police officers, and Correctional officers on the mandate of the Ombudsman, the role and human rights and ethical policing. Because in our daily life, we always get issues, concerns from public in terms of allegations of use of force, for instance, by our police officers, or allegations of inhumane treatment or degrading treatment from police. That's why for this year we trained 2 groups of police officers in this respect. I will also say that in the beginning I mentioned about vulnerable groups. We have to prioritize on our vulnerable groups, like for instance, our San people, our Ovitua people, and Ovihimba people, for us to improve. There are service delivery, but to improve on our service deliveries for those people, and then to also improve on our complaint handling mechanism. I understood recently that, like legal aid, for instance, they have now online. You can apply online for legal aid. Doesn't matter if you are in the remote area, you can apply online. So I don't know whether it's already in operation. So it's one of the improvements on our complaint mechanisms. Just to mention that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mauyoma, we have reached the end of our conversation. Please give us any final remarks on justice for vulnerable groups in Namibia.
Yeah. For our nation, it's a strong commitment to access to justice, because it's there to ensure fair and inclusiveness and rights respecting society. So I urge all the stakeholders to collaborate for us to include all the citizens to enjoy the human rights that they deserve. And as Ombudsman Office, we always monitor to safeguard the human rights of our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Mauyoma, for having joined us in our studio. This was a very informative discussion, and I applaud you for the work you do at the Ombudsman.
Thank you, Grace, for having me here, and have a blessed day.
Thank you so much. Viewers and listeners, there you have it from Mr. Mauyoma from the Office of the Ombudsman. Know your rights, let's respect one another, and live in harmony. From us at the Garmin Information Center, it's goodbye. Until next time.